You likely believe your first kiss was a personal milestone that belongs to the modern world. You see it as a romantic invention or a social choice to express deep affection. But if you could travel back 2 million years, you would find your ancestors performing this exact same act for a completely different reason. Kissing is not just a sign of love. It is an ancient survival mechanism and a biological data transfer. Your ancestors used it to decide who was healthy enough to help them survive. Without this strange act of locking lips, the human species might not exist today. We like to think we are sophisticated. However, your biology is still acting like a caveman trying to navigate a brutal world. Here is why humans actually started kissing. The question of when humans started kissing is one of the hardest mysteries for science to solve. This is because soft tissue does not turn into fossils. You can find ancient stone chopping tools from 2 million years ago in the Olduvai Gorge. You can find charred animal bones from ancient fires, but you can never find a fossilized kiss. For decades, researchers were stuck. They did not know if kissing was a natural instinct or a learned habit. To find the answer, experts had to look at the clues left behind in the stone and the dirt. They had to examine the very beginning of the human story during the period known as making us human. The ancient world was an incredibly harsh place. Predators were everywhere. Food was always scarce. A simple disease could wipe out an entire tribe in just a few days. Early humans did not have pharmacies or doctors. They had to rely entirely on their senses to judge the health and strength of their partners. Every physical interaction was a risk. This makes the act of kissing seem like a terrible idea. Why would a human put their face against someone else's face in a world full of germs?
The first step in this evolution began with an accident of maternal care. Millions of years ago, early human mothers did not have soft baby food in jars. They had to find a way to feed their infants solid food before the babies developed teeth. To solve this, mothers would chew up tough meat or roots. They then passed the softened food directly from their own mouths into the mouths of their children. This behavior is called mouth-to-mouth feeding. You can still see this act in many animal species today. This was a vital survival move. It provided the calories a baby needed to grow. But it did something else too. This physical contact released a powerful chemical in the brain called oxytocin. This is the hormone responsible for bonding and trust. Over thousands of generations, your ancestors began to associate mouth-to-mouth contact with safety and comfort. What started as a way to eat became a way to feel secure. The brain started to crave that physical closeness. This established the neurological foundation for what would eventually become the kiss. As humans evolved, this behavior took on a new utility. It became a sophisticated health check. When you get close enough to someone to kiss them, you are actually performing a chemical analysis of their body. Saliva is full of information about a person's immune system and their general health. Early humans needed to find mates who could produce strong offspring. By moving closer and engaging in mouth contact, your ancestors were subconsciously testing each other. They were checking for signs of illness or poor nutrition. This is why humans have such a sensitive sense of smell and taste around their mouths. You were built to detect the subtle chemical signals that tell you if someone is a good biological match. This was a critical survival tool in a world where choosing the wrong partner could mean the end of your family line. Kissing allowed humans to gather data that they could not get just by looking from a distance. It turned a simple act of feeding into a high-tech screening process for the future of the species.
This practical survival tool eventually transitioned into a powerful cultural ritual. We can see the exact moment this happened in the archaeological record. About 11,000 years ago, a group of people called the Natufians lived in what is now the area near Bethlehem.
They were a fascinating group because they were some of the first humans to stop wandering and build permanent homes. They moved from being simple hunters to being organized settlers. This change in lifestyle gave them the time to create art. One specific object tells us that kissing has finally become a recognized symbol of human connection. Explorers found a small stone carving in a cave that is now known as the Ein Sakhri Lovers. This object is a piece of calcite cobble that a Natufian artist shaped with incredible care. It is small enough to fit in your hand. When you look at it, you see two people sitting down with their arms around each other, their legs entwined. Most importantly, their faces are merged together in a way that suggests they are kissing. This stone carving is the oldest known representation of a couple making love in human history. It marks the transition of kissing from a biological necessity to a cultural baseline. The artist did not give the figures individual eyes or ears. Instead, the focus is entirely on the embrace and the union of the faces. This tells you that 11,000 years ago, humans already saw the kiss as the ultimate expression of a bond. They were no longer just passing food or checking for health. They were celebrating the emotional connection that physical closeness creates. This carving is part of the era when humans were learning how to be human. It shows that as soon as humans had the stability of a home, they chose to immortalize the act of kissing in stone. It became a ritual that defined their society. This ritualized behavior continued to grow as humans built the first cities and states. By 4,000 years ago, the act of kissing was likely a standard part of social and romantic life in places like the Indus Valley and Mesopotamia. You can see the progression from simple stone tools to complex art and literature. As humans developed the ability to record information on writing tablets, they began to document their social lives in detail. Physical affection became a theme in early literature. The human brain had fully integrated the biological rewards of kissing into its social structures. The oxytocin that once bonded a mother to a child now bonded entire communities and couples. Kissing has become a way to manage stress and maintain social harmony. It was no longer just about calories, it was about the stability of the group. You might wonder if everyone in the ancient world was doing this. Interestingly, the archaeological evidence suggests that kissing appeared in different forms across various cultures. In the Indus Valley, ancient seals show figures in close physical proximity. In Mesopotamia, the earliest writing tablets describe various forms of social and physical bonding. These records show that as populations grew larger, the need for social glue became more important. Humans needed rituals to keep their groups together. Kissing served this purpose perfectly. It used the existing brain pathways for trust and applied them to adult relationships. This allowed early humans to form the stable pairs and families needed to build civilizations. The biology behind this act is still visible in your life today. When you kiss someone, your brain still releases that same oxytocin that helped your ancestors bond millions of years ago. Your body is still checking the health of your partner through chemical signals in the saliva. You are using a system that was perfected by Homo erectus and Homo sapiens long before the invention of the internet or even the invention of clothes. The Natufian artist who carved the Ein Sakhri Lovers understood this power. They captured the moment where two individuals become one in a way that is still recognizable today. That stone carving is a bridge between our ancient survival needs and our modern emotional lives. The evolution of the kiss is a reminder that humans are deeply connected to their past. Every romantic gesture you make is rooted in a million years of survival and biological adaptation. We didn't just decide to start kissing because it felt good. We started kissing because it was the most efficient way to ensure the survival of our children and our communities.
It is a legacy handed down from the first mothers to the first artists. It is a biological handshake that has lasted through the Ice Age and the rise of the first empires. So the next time you see people kissing, you are not looking at a modern invention. You are looking at a deeply ingrained mechanism that is millions of years old. You are seeing the legacy of ancient mothers who chewed food for their children. You are seeing the chemical testing grounds of early hunters on the African savanna. You are seeing the same emotional spark that inspired a Natufian artist to carve a piece of stone 11,000 years ago. Kissing is a survival tactic hardwired into your evolutionary DNA.